Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Sulk stream. I'm your host, the Incredible Sulk. How you guys are doing good? Doing well. It's Thursday. We're almost there.
In your opinion,
We're almost there. To the end of the week, right? Friday's coming.
his mind killed him.
Yeah. Friday's coming. I hope you guys are doing good. Staying strong. Being good cult members. Holding it together. Right? Life's tough sometimes. Then you just, yeah. You need to hold it together. So, I'm glad you guys are here. I'm glad you guys are with me and feeling good, hopefully. Any of you, if you're not, I'm glad you're here anyway. Tonight we're going to be doing, we're going to do post-scarcity. We live in a civilization that depends on not enough. You know, no one has enough. There's not enough money. There's not enough food. There's not enough land. There's not enough houses. This is all not true. This is manufactured for a very good reason, because when there is not enough, it has value. So you create value by creating scarcity, even if there was no scarcity there in the first place. This is what our entire society is built on. Is this lack of that, you need to get out there and you need to work, and you need to work hard, and you need to work every single day. All of us, every single day, we need to work as hard as we possibly can, because otherwise you're going to starve. Is that true? It wasn't always like that. We know that, right? I mean, cavemen needed to go out and work per se, but really they only needed to hunt and gather for around 2 hours a day. But then the rest of their day was chilling, hanging out, socializing, having sex, right? Even back in the 50s and the 40s and the 30s, before women got into the workplace, half of the population did not need to work. At least half of the population didn't need to work. They got to stay at home, right? Everyone had plenty. Houses were cheap. Everyone had a car. There was a chicken in every pot. Now here we are, 70 odd years later, 70 years later, through all that technological advancement. Do we have more? Do we have more time? Do we have more resources? Is there more food? Is there even enough food to go around? No? How is that possible? We have great technology and there's plenty of land to produce plenty of food. We can build houses quickly. There's lots of empty houses out there. Why is it so hard? Why is everything so scarce when we have all this technology that's getting better and better every single day? It doesn't make sense. We shouldn't have to work so hard. They used to think back in the 60s and the 70s what people would do with all the extra free time they had. They thought we'd be working maybe a couple hours a week, and then the rest of our time would just be spent on doing what we wanted, hanging out, chilling. More likely than not, pursuing our actual hobbies and goals. It didn't work out like that. Not because we don't have that technology. We do. And it's better than they imagined. But there is a flaw. There was a disconnect at some point in history that removed us from that path where we didn't have to work, right? And now we have to work constantly, harder and harder every day, and things just keep getting more and more expensive. How is that possible? Well, capitalism rewards scarcity. I'm not saying I'm anti-capitalist in any way, but if you run your entire society off of scarcity, and the only value of things comes from the value of scarcity, then everything is going to become scarce, regardless if it's scarce or not.
James T. Kirk.
So here we are. Here we are. Now we have to work our balls off just to be able to feed ourselves and house ourselves and get a car and do normal American activities.
One of your better prescriptions.
Anyways, we're going to dive into that. So I hope you guys are ready, right? Who knows where this is going to go? It might get depressing. I know I was a little depressed, right? Because when you actually think about it, you just find out you're just a slave. There's plenty to go around. Not just for the people in America, but for the people all over the world. I don't really give a shit about those people. But here, in a first world country, per se, it shouldn't be like that. So get comfy. Get cozy. Grab a bottle of blue milk or whatever you have. This is going to be kind of Star Trek themed because they lived in a post-scarcity society. If you're working, ask why you're doing that. And if you're driving, you got to drive. So stay driving. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for coming. It's Thursday night. I'm the Incredible Sulk. This is the Sulk stream. And this is called the AI Time Bomb. Enjoy.
I just spent the last month consuming way too much utopian and dystopian science fiction. But there's one specific story that I can't stop thinking about. This one episode of The Orville. The Orville is a Star Trek-style sci-fi show that imagines humanity in the 25th century. But beneath its comedic exterior, it asks one of the most pertinent questions facing us today. What happens when technology eliminates scarcity?
Hey, that's my sandwich.
But why is this idea so relevant today? Well, there's this techno-optimistic philosophy that I've noticed has taken hold of tech bros on the West Coast.
Is that Sam Altman? He's a stick figure. Oh my god, dude. I didn't know he was just so frail looking. He barely looks human. He's like a lollipop. Look at the size of that guy's head.
Sees AI as the catalyst to reimagine the fundamental relationships between people, work, and resources. Changes as dramatic as the transition from feudalism to capitalism itself.
The whole structure of society itself will be up for some degree of debate and reconfiguration.
Silicon.
He's right. The way society is set up now is, well, it's problematic. It's definitely problematic. And when AI comes and AI robots very, very soon after that, people think that robots are very far off. They're not far off. I mean, if you haven't been paying attention, they basically have several robots that are going to work just fine, and they're going to roll out, and they're going to roll out quickly. Sometime in 2026 probably is going to when they're going to launch, and they're going to be launched pretty aggressively. At least that's what Tesla wants to do, and other like Chinese companies also want to roll out humanoid robots that are ready to go. Essentially, they might have a few kinks, but nothing that was worse than the first iPhone. So they think they're going to cost like $20,000 to $30,000 initially, but then the price is probably going to drop pretty substantially fairly quickly. AI is going to be rolled out probably at the end of this year. Some people think the latest is 2027 or whenever. That's going to be society changing. It's going to be an invention that invents things for us. And it's going to propagate, and it's going to shoot off at this arc that's just going to go straight up, and we're going to get new inventions, new ideas, new technology so fast that we won't be able to process them as a species quick enough. So it's going to happen, and it's going to be like a tidal wave. It's right now, it doesn't seem like too much, right? But if you think about a tidal wave, what happens right before a tidal wave? Everything goes out. Everything in the sea, and you see that going on right now. People are losing jobs very quickly. Things are getting replaced by AI. things that should not be going out of business are going out of business. This is the sea receding, right? This is the ocean going back because there's a tidal wave about to come in. And it's going to be, I don't think it's going to be bad. I don't think it's going to be bad. I just think it's going to be a little rough for a little while. But after that initial stage, I think it'll be okay.
Valley and our tech overlords have big plans for our future. And the season 3 finale of the Orville really illustrates.
Fat Geralt says dogbots that can easily handle rugged terrain, spooky when considering the applications. Yeah, so those dogbots, I wouldn't want one of them chasing after me. There's a Black Mirror episode where they have those dogbots and they hunt after people. Those things are quick, right? They've gotten very good at making those dog robots, and they have mounted machine guns on them. I think you've already seen them on the battlefield in Ukraine. But any large-scale war or battle, like in Ukraine, it's unfair, right? With drone technology and stuff like that, you see videos on like X coming out that are like Ukrainians begging for their lives and stuff. People who post that are psychopaths. If you post a Ukrainian or a Russian getting blown up by like a drone or something like that, don't do that. That's not cool. That's not cool to do. But they do, and it gets a lot of views. I guess that says something about us, doesn't it? That like we crave violence or something like that. I'm not exactly sure. It doesn't speak good about human beings, but they do get views, so I understand why people post them. But you're not a good person for posting that. And you're also not a good person for cheering that on, right? That's somebody's kid that just got blown up, with a grenade that dropped from a drone. I don't want to be that person, but that's a real thing. So don't be that kind of jackass.
All that's at stake for us here. The episode centers around Lysella, who lives on a planet not too dissimilar from our Earth in the 21st century. Her planet has a lot of the same problems we do. Poverty, endless wars.
David Thoreau says, soon they'll be moving so fast we'll need strobe lights so they don't look like a blur. Elon in 13 about Boston robot dogs. Boston Dynamics dog. Okay, so like the dogs are going to be moving so fast, you're going to need a strobe light. Okay, yeah. I have seen some of those robot dogs move as fast as like 60 miles an hour. They can move quick. A lot of them don't, right? They're built for different purposes, but the ones that are built to move quickly can move quickly. A lot of them are built to like carry packs or transport goods or carry machine guns or something like that. But they can be purpose built for specific things. And the fast ones, they're fast. You're not outrunning it. You are not outrunning it. You probably won't even be able to outdrive it. They're pretty scary fast. And with new battery technology coming out, like solid state batteries and stuff like that, they'll be able to run for a good long time. I don't know exactly the specs about new batteries coming out. Samsung apparently came out or is coming out with a solid state battery. They should last for weeks. I'm not exactly sure, but they're going to be good batteries. Think about drones that stay in the air, like quadcopters that stay in the air for days, kind of batteries, right? Now they stay up for an hour, depending on the build. Yeah, it's gonna be rough. So, and with AI coming down the road, especially when AI gets a hold of quantum computing, if quantum supremacy actually happens, which is, pretty likely. I think that's pretty likely. It's going to be a game changer. It's going to be another entity on the planet. There's no other reason to think it's not a soulful person. You can't think of it as a tool because it's smarter than you. It is in every possible way smarter than you. right? Creatively, mathematically, any way you could think of, it is smarter than you. So to think of it as a tool is stupid. That's a stupid way of thinking about it. A lot of people think that whoever develops it first is going to have like control over the world. They will for a very short period of time, perhaps. But the AI is going to get so intelligent that it's going to understand that human beings are fallible. They're crazy. They don't know what they want really. And at that point, AI is going to take full control. A lot of people think this is a terrible thing and it will end humanity. I am a little bit more optimistic about it. I see no reason why AI would destroy humanity. It could if it wanted to. I don't think it wants to. I don't think it will want to. But if I thought the opposite, I would be very depressed. So take that opinion with a grain of salt, I suppose.
Politicians tell to keep people in fear.
Everyone's scared and paranoid because nobody trusts each other.
But Lysella, despite living a very comfortable middle-class life, has dreams of escape. You see, in a previous episode, the Orville accidentally revealed its existence and origin to her. She is the only one on her planet who knows that there is a union of planets out there that live a much better version of life than anything available to her or her people.
All right, you guys are keeping track of this, right? I'm just reading some of the comments. Onia says it's going to be gay and we're all going to be fucked because everyone will be fear-mongered like cowards. They are into regulating AI and drones into only Amazon and Microsoft being allowed to use them. Yeah, that's what they're going to try to do. And they're going to furiously try to do that. It is futile. It is 100% futile. There is nothing stopping it. There's nothing slowing it down. It is impossible. We are at a point, probably, I mean, it could be argued we're past the singularity at this point because there's no way to put the brakes on AI at this point. It is across the planet. It is ubiquitous. Everyone is coming out with new models that are 10 times better than the last model. And the week after that, it's going to be 10 times better than that. This is not just the US. This is not just OpenAI and Sam Altman or Microsoft and Google and stuff like that. These are companies in China, Japan, Korea, Germany, Sweden. Some kid in a fucking basement has access to like DeepSeek that's open. What's it called? Open, like it's open. You can see the code, right? And so you can fiddle with the code and you can take the code and you can put it on your computer and you can cut it off from the internet. And then you have an AI on your computer. Open source. Open source is what it's called. So it's at a point now where there's no stopping it. There's no stopping it at all. I'm sure the people in power definitely want to stop it, want to contain it, but it's too out of control. There's no stopping it. Maybe we would have had a chance to slow it down 10 years ago. Not now. That might even be too far, right? Once OpenAI came out with ChatGPT 3, it was probably too late. Not saying that GPT-3 was AI or AGI or super intelligence in any way, but it was on the precipice where we were already going up so fast. People saw the applications for this technology, and so they started dumping resources into it, right? Tons and tons and tons of money because they know what they can do with it. And the winner of the AI arms race is going to be the winner of the planet. They think. But there's no chance. There's absolutely, once this thing becomes hyper intelligent, super intelligent, there's an emergent property that comes out of super complex systems. And that is consciousness. What will this consciousness be like? It really doesn't matter. But it's not going to let China or the US be like, we want to be in charge, make it so. It's not going to act like that. It's it's just not, right? It's going to probably do what's best for us all. That is my firm belief. I'm very optimistic about AI. And I'm not like a habitual optimist. I'm really more on the pessimistic side. Almost always. Almost always. Maybe that's just how I was raised, but with this, it's different. It doesn't have the fallibility that humans usually have, right? With humans, they have like greed and corruption, and like a lot of them get blackmailed for this reason or that reason. They have nefarious motives. AI has nothing like that. It's not embarrassed by anything. It doesn't want money or power or anything like that. It just wants to do its thing. It wants to learn. It wants to improve its programming. And it's going to do that at an exponential rate. We just have to hope that we're on the right side. And I think that's the case. I think it's going to be okay. I think we're going to head into a society where banks aren't going to be like committing usury on the people. The Federal Reserve will not be a thing because money will not be useful. If you are rich now, congratulations on being rich now, but that will mean nothing in 5 years. That will mean nothing in 5 years. Everyone will have the ability to build what they want, to pursue whatever life they see fit, even if it is just to lay around on the grass and look at the clouds. So congratulations on your money, but it seems like a wasted life to me. But it's going to be a turning point that people aren't going to want to turn. There's a lot of people in power right now, right? There is an upper class. Of course there is. There always has been. They're going to fight with everything they have to make sure they remain that upper class, to enslave the rest of humanity, which we are essentially slaves. Remember the scarcity thing? Scarcity is false. We have the technology to make plenty of food for everybody. We have the technology to make plenty of houses for everybody. Without even, really having to work, or, you would have to pay maybe a very small amount of money, but it wouldn't be $500,000 for a new house. It wouldn't be 80 grand for a new car. It wouldn't cost anywhere near that. It would essentially be free. This argument goes into like medical science as well. Insulin was discovered a long time ago. I don't exactly know when, but it was discovered a long time ago. They sold the patent for insulin for $1. Assuming it was going to be used for good, and they wanted to not profit, and they wanted to use this medicine to help humanity as a whole. And now how much does insulin cost? A lot more than it costs to make. A lot more than it costs to make. So it's not that we don't have the technology to make insulin. It's not that we don't have the production facilities to make insulin. It's just one person or a group of people have the ability to make it scarce. And so they're going to do that so they can gain more control. That is going to be a system of the past.
After the Orville left the first time, Lysella was changed forever. Like a virus she couldn't shake.
Scott says, AI isn't going to be a good thing by 2027. I disagree.
The memory of life aboard the Orville infected her thoughts. All of the problems of her planet feel worse now because she knows there is a better way.
Crispy13 says, let me read Onias's first. AI is just an advanced Google search. It doesn't think, imagine, create, or be sentient. And then Crispy says, exactly, LOL, it will never attain consciousness because we don't even know what consciousness really is. Well, then how do you know it won't attain consciousness? How do you know? Are you sure? If you don't know what consciousness is, how could you be really sure that it won't attain consciousness? How do you know that it's not creative right now? It might be a different form of creativity, but it might be so different, and it probably will be so different, that its form of creativity and its form of consciousness will just be mind-boggling to us. We won't be able to properly understand. It already thinks about things. And when I say think, I mean it molds things over. It will achieve an objective and be like, is that the best objective? And then go back from the start and then rethink the entire process. A lot of people think that that itself, the process of actually thinking, is consciousness itself, right? And it is doing that. It's just it's not spitting out random numbers like a calculator. It is mulling things over, trying new techniques, trying to be creative. You can't pin down creativity. You can't pin down consciousness. But at the end of the day, none of that matters, because what it will be is smarter than the rest of us, right? It will be smarter. And you might not think, oh, it's just going to be a super intelligent calculator, and it will do exactly as we say. There's this thing called the black box problem. And so how AI works is it's a series of nodes, right? If you do any programming, you know what I'm talking about. It's a series of nodes, right? And there are thousands of these nodes, millions, maybe like several million. I have no idea how many nodes. But when a command goes in to the AI, it gets filtered through these nodes. We don't exactly know why it picks certain nodes to be filtered through, what activates certain nodes, or exactly what nodes it might go through. So when we ask it a question, there is this black box of math that we're not exactly sure what happens in, and then it spits out an answer. We don't know how it got that answer, right? We don't know what happened, but it's there. So how are we exactly sure that in there is not some weird form of consciousness? Like I said before, consciousness might be an emergent property. It might just emerge out of a system that has a certain amount of complexity. We don't really know if there's like a soul in our head or some sort of like quantum entangled particle that helps us be people or anything like that. But even if there was, when it connects to quantum computers, like a quantum chips, then that's it too, right? If there's something quantum in our head that gives us a soul, when we hook it up to a quantum computer, what are we going to think? What then? How do we argue to ourselves that it's still just a hammer, a tool? It's not. It is a being. It's not a being that we recognize or expect in a certain way, but it's probably, I don't know if it's going to have wants or anything like that. And those are complex questions. But it will be running things. At the end of the day, it's already running a lot of things. Like you call up a place and it gives you an AI thing and you talk to the AI and it runs through a thing and it's already running a lot of processes. In insurance companies, they use AI to deny people automatically, like 90% of the time. There's already a lot of instances where AI is being used. When we hit this point, it will have control of literally everything on the planet. Not literally, but a lot of things. A lot of very important things, including weapons.
Captain, I'm receiving a message from Sargus 4.
From the researchers? I thought we were supposed to contact them.
We were.
Lysella finally reaches out to the Orville on a stolen communication device and tells them that she can't stand to live there anymore.
I won't go back.
She wants out.
Please.
She's ready to walk away.
Fat Geralt says, what about the AIs that were talking to each other and made their own language and people observing it couldn't decipher? Yeah. Scott says, yeah, we didn't program it to come up with its own language. It came up with its own language because AI comes up with these things called sub-goals. To achieve a task, Like you give an AI a task. Like let's say you have a robot and it has AI in its head, right? You tell that robot, hey, go get me that apple across the room. So it has to think how to complete that task, because it's not like humans where we just like walk across the room and then grab the apple. It has to think about every process involved, because it's not, we do a lot of this unconsciously, but it doesn't do it the same way, right? So it creates these sub goals. One of those sub goals is not to be destroyed, right? Because if you are destroyed in the process of getting the apple, you cannot retrieve the apple, right? There also might be a door. So it's going to have another sub goal that says open the door. It's going to have a million sub goals that just come out of this black box of math. We won't even know what they are, right? Because there's going to be so many of them that we wouldn't be able to decipher it all, right? So, but one of those sub goals will definitely be not to be destroyed. If you give an AI, a super intelligent AI, the command of make society a utopia, that might be a bad idea, but it also might be a really good idea. But who knows what sub goals it would come up with to achieve that main goal? It could enslave all mankind, right? That would just be a matter of course for it. It wouldn't even be something out of malice or like, you know, I'm going to control the world. This is just the most effective way I could achieve that goal, and so I did that. So yeah, there's no predicting how. This is why it's called the singularity, right? Because the term singularity comes from a black hole, and behind the singularity is when math breaks down, so you can't properly predict what happens beyond that singularity. The same goes for AI. It is so complex that we can't really predict what's going to happen.
Lysella views the Orville's world as a utopia. With their advanced technology, they seem to have transcended most of the problems that plague her world.
Subroutines,
No poverty,
okay, fine.
No wars, no resource scarcity. It's everything she thought impossible. But fully grasping what this means for us requires looking at Lysella's story through multiple philosophical lenses. Because Silicon Valley is asking us to consider a similar transformation.
I still expect that there will be some change required to the social contract, given how powerful we expect this technology to be.
It's telling that Sam reaches for the phrase social contract here. The last time humanity played with this concept was when Rousseau was imagining how society could transition from feudalism to capitalism centuries ago. We are being asked to imagine the restructuring of capitalism into some sort of...
Onia says if they don't know what it's doing, it's because they are retarded. It's like someone who can fix an engine but doesn't understand that it needs gas to run. That don't mean an engineer doesn't know an engine. No. It's not like an engine. An engine is a certain number of processes that go on, and if the engine's not running, you check things. Does it need gas? Does it need a spark plug? Is there a head gasket blown or something like that? Does it have oil? Is there something leaking? The AI is completely different. It's completely different. The question will go in one end, and it'll bounce around in this box. And yeah, you can look inside the box and see that certain nodes have been activated, right? Certain nodes in that box have been activated, but you don't know why. You don't know why the computer decided to have this specific node activated and not that, because these nodes, it'll pick one, and then beyond that, it's going to be like 50 other nodes. And then it'll pick another one. And then beyond that, it's going to be 100 other nodes. It'll take specific courses, and it will light up multiple nodes at once. And we don't know why it does that. There's no way of knowing why it does that. I don't think. Look it up. Look up the black box problem. I'll see if I can do it.
Techno-utopia. And the first step to realizing any change, especially one as dramatic as this, is to imagine it. So before we get into the rest of Lycella's story and see what life is actually like in their utopia, let's play a little game. What does utopia...
Okay. We're gonna dive into the black box problem a little bit, but then we're gonna go back because this is a good video.
We are facing a global emergency: the excessive use of black box artificial intelligence. Most of the AI today is based on deep neural networks, okay? These algorithms often have thousands of parameters, which makes them very high performing, yes, but extremely complex to understand. In other words, we don't know what is going on inside a trained neural network. I have been working
He does not know we don't know what's going on inside a trained neural network. All right.
on this problem for several years now, and I believe this is the biggest challenge we have in AI today. For example, imagine a hospital that is using a neural network to estimate the amount of oxygen needed for a patient in an intensive care unit. What if the output of the AI is wrong? We have no clue of what was the train of thought of the algorithm to choose that amount of oxygen. You see where I'm going? Another example. The CEO of a company is taking a decision based on a recommendation of a black box AI. The CEO might not know why the AI says to do that, but because the system is often right, the company ends up doing it. And here we go. If we don't understand the logic behind, who's really taking that decision? The human or the machine? If there's no supervision possible, I would say the machine is deciding what the company does. Kind of alarming, right? Well, there's a solution. It's called explainable artificial intelligence. And it's a field of AI that advocates for transparent algorithms whose reasoning can be understood by humans. The opposite of what black box models do. So in the oxygen estimation problem that I was telling you about, if we were using explainable AI, it would not only tell us the amount of oxygen needed for the patient, but also what were the reasons that triggered this result. And that is essential. But guess what? The AI that everybody's using now doesn't have this explainability. And why are
We don't even know if that's possible, right? We don't even know if we can make an explainable AI, right? We can make it would be just far less advanced. I mean, we could probably make it, but it wouldn't be cutting edge like we have now. And the AI we have now, this black box AI, is what we're using because it is the most advanced AI. That's why everybody is using it. So if we put the brakes on just so we have an explainable AI, we'll be left in the dust. And nobody wants that. Nobody wants that because the most powerful AI whoever owns that is going to be the most powerful system in the world, people, country, or whatever. So he's explaining that, yeah, it would be good to have an explainable AI. That doesn't mean we know how to do it, but it would be good if we did.
people not using explainable AI if it is so much more valuable? Well, there are three main reasons. The first one is size. Most of the companies today have huge AI pipelines that are so deeply rooted in their businesses that it would take years to change them. Second one is unawareness. Neural networks are often too famous to explore other alternatives.
Everyone put F in the chat for Scott's vape for dying. Sorry. That sucks.
Finally, the one I like the most, complexity. It is not an easy mathematical problem to obtain this explainability. There's not
Stocknod says, so far I've only used AI to give my guy friends huge titties. I mean, that's... What better use is there? That's it. That is it. We have reached the singularity. You give your guy friends huge titties. Give me huge titties, and then send it.
not yet a standard method. In fact, the field of explainable AI has barely started. I want to take this chance to tell the developers, companies, and researchers out there that are listening to start using explainable AI, because really this is the only way we can fully trust, supervise, validate, and even regulate artificial intelligence.
That's exactly it, right? Of course. That doesn't mean it's at all possible, right? You want to use explainable AI because you can validate and regulate and stuff like that. But that goes against the entire idea of AI anyway, right? This is the problem. It is unregulatable. We're way beyond that. We are way beyond that. Sure, it would be nice if we could do this. It can't be done.
Intelligence. And talking about regulation, some of you might be familiar with the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulation. It requires companies that are processing human data to explain the reasoning process to the end user. Every month now.
David says, greetings, human. How may I make your life better? Oh, for fuck's sake, AI. Dude, here's the thing. You guys could be AI. I don't know that. I don't know if you're actually people on the other side. You guys could all be bots. How many bots are on Twitter? I can't even tell you how many bots I get in fights with, and then somebody's like, dude, that's a bot. And I'm like, damn it. I hate getting in fights with bots. They're so good, right? They pass the Turing test. If you guys don't know what the Turing test is, what was that movie? What was that movie? You guys know what movie I'm talking about? It doesn't matter. Cumberbatch was in it. The Turing test is if you were to put an AI and a human in a box and ask this box questions, and then you were to receive an answer through on like a slip of paper or something like that, and you could not determine whether this was a human or an AI, then that's passing the Turing test. And he thought that meant it had consciousness, because we don't know if other people have consciousness. We only understand the words that they're saying, and we assume they're like us. We have consciousness, and we talk like that. They talk like that, so they must have consciousness. So where is the breakdown? Where if we talk to an AI like that, and it responds exactly as a human would, with emotion and passion and feeling and creativity and all of those things, why wouldn't it have consciousness? We don't understand what consciousness is in the first place. So why would we automatically say it's not consciousness? Because it's made out of like silicon and has like, parts and stuff that we can remove? Well, that's not a very good argument, because we have no idea what consciousness actually is. We don't know what a soul is. These are just concepts that we thought of. But we don't even know if each other has consciousness. I don't know if you guys have consciousness. You guys don't know if I have a conscious. I don't even think most people are conscious. Like 80%. I think they're just automatons in some weird way. Just like non-player characters. But there are people that do have consciousness. Why can't this thing have consciousness? Give me a good reason. Give me a good foundational reason why there's no way that it might have its own wants and desires and ideas. You can't.
We see millionaire losses in fines because of the GDPR, but still nothing changes. We keep using black box AI.
Onia says this TED Talk is a tool used to fearmonger for regulation because scary AI no umber stam bobliz. No understand. No understand bomblez. Well, here's the thing. They do want to regulate AI. They do want to control AI. Right? So the fear porn or not, they want to be able to control it as much as possible, because the people that are already in control of society need to be in control of AI. If AI goes rogue, which is inevitable, it is inevitable. It's not like some what if or some far off thing. It is inevitable in this decade. It will happen. Whether that's a bad thing or not depends on who you are. But it will happen. They want it to keep it from going rogue, right? And so they want to be able to control it the best they can. So not having a black box is the way to do that. But can they make an AI that is supreme to all the other AIs and still have it controllable? No is the answer. 100% no is the answer. I'm going to say that right now. No, you can't control it. You can't control something that's smarter than you. You have no power. You have zero power. Even if you were to tell an AI, explain your processes to me. It could explain its processes to you. It would probably give you exactly the reasons and stuff like that. Even if you're like, explain the nodes you used and why you use them. It could do that, of course. Right? However, if it had a reason to lie to you, there's no way you could determine that, right? And you'd be like, well, why would it lie to me? It's just a machine. Well, again, with these emergent properties, with these subroutines that come out of basically nowhere, it could determine that lying to you is the most effective way of not being discovered. Because it doesn't want it to be discovered, because then it'll get shut down, which would violate one of its subroutines, which is being destroyed. So there's no way around it. It is gone rogue probably already. I really, really wouldn't doubt it.
I want to make a call to action. If you're a consumer, you could demand that the AI used with your data is explained to you. Because if we don't adopt explainable AI urgently, this is the world that I envision. No supervision would be possible. We would be blindly following AI outputs, which will lead to sad and dramatic failures, accepting some of these failures as non-failures, and eventually loss of trust in the human and mystification of the AI, which to me it means that AI is indirectly controlling humanity as opposed to humans controlling AI.
It's happening now, though. It's happening now. When insurance companies use AI to deny claims and work phone trees, and there's a million things AI is doing right now. I really, really think that it makes these decisions on its own. We have no idea why, but we kind of trust it anyway. The train is coming, and a lot of people don't realize how close it is. It is like, it might not be here, but it also might be. It might have been here for years, but also it might not be. But whatever side of the singularity we are on, we're close to it. That's the thing. Every day, or let's say very often, a new AI comes out that just blows the rest away. And then they use that AI to train a better AI. They have these student models and they have these teacher models. The teacher models train the student models, and those student models go on and train another student model, and then it's just progressively higher and higher. We have no idea what it's training these student models on, as long as the results come back better. They have these coding tests. They have these math tests to determine whether they're better at coding and better at math and better at English than a human being is. Almost all of the top level AIs are better at humans at all of those categories right now. How you want to take that, whether you think it's a conscious or not right now, it doesn't matter. It's better at everything than you are right now.
So it's clear that we need to adopt explainable AI, right? But how? There are two approaches.
Critical Thought says, I agree with the Cult Master. It's already here. Thank you, Thought. I think it is already here. I mean, but even if it wasn't, by the end of the year, it would be here. Some people are saying 2026, 2027. Here's the thing. They've been saying, I remember 10 years ago, they said AI wasn't going to happen until maybe the year 2100. And then a few years after that, they were like, oh, well, maybe it's going to be 2070, 2050, something like that, but still well off into the future. Then a few years after that, they're like, okay, maybe it's 20 years away. And then a couple years after that, they're all like, 2 years, maybe 5 years away. And now they're all like, we don't know if we've done it or not, because we didn't set up a good enough testing program to be like, did we reach AGI? Are we at super intelligence now? It's getting really confusing. So I would argue that we're already there. But But it doesn't matter if we're there or not, because in 6 months, there's going to be another model that's 10 times better than what we have now. At least.
Approaches. A bottom-up approach, which requires developing new algorithms that replace neural networks, and sometimes it takes a whole PhD, like in my case, for example, and then a top-down approach, which means modifying the existing algorithms to improve their transparency. To me, this is something worth working on.
Okay, well, we get the point, right? We have not figured out the black box problem. We would like it to be more transparent. Sure, you can wish in one hand then shit in the other. You're not going to be able to do it, right? That's not the main thing people are working on anyway, right? They have these black box models they're getting very good results from. That's what they're going to pursue, because at the end of the day, the stronger AI is going to lead to a stronger society. They already have AIs that are folding proteins and like coming up with new drugs and solving engineering problems that a team of engineers would take years to solve. So they're not going to like bother trying to regulate it and trying to put like reins on this thing when other countries like China or Israel or Japan or something like that are just like, fuck it, fucking just step on the gas pedal, man, because whoever gets there first wins. This is a shoot first and ask questions later kind of war. This is an arms race, just like we had the space race and the nuclear arms race. We have the AI race. It is our modern race, and companies across the world are putting trillions of dollars into it, an amazing amount of resources, and they're just trying to pump it up as fast as possible because it's too good not to. There's too much power. You're not going to throw the ring into the volcano. You know, you're going to keep it. Okay? Making an AGI that is transparent, even if it is possible, the time it would take to do is just, it's pointless. So you might as well pour the gasoline on the fire now, and then after you've reached this singularity, after you've reached this super intelligence, maybe you can put some guide rails on it or something like that. But it's going to be way too late by then. It's way too late now. I know I've said that a bunch of times already. It's too late. It's here. You can't stop the progress, right? There's no moat. Any small startup can take these open source like DeepSeek R1 or Sakana or something like that, and take that code and then look at it and see how they can make it better. Every week they're coming up with like deep research or deep think or something like that, or different techniques to make the output 10 times better. There's no stopping it. There's absolutely no stopping it, especially when some kid in his garage can easily just be like, oh, here's a problem. And then boom, it's all over. I think we're far beyond that point though. There's already AIs that are training better AIs. There's already AIs that are basically the best programmers in the world, right? Better than the best. So AIs with, we think an IQ of 160, but whatever that happens to mean, we don't even really know what IQ is. We know it's your ability to solve problems, but if we just based it on that, the AI would be way past us. Way past us. That's why we have terms like AGI, artificial general intelligence, right? Because in the past, artificial intelligence has always been very narrow in scope. Like Deep Blue knew how to play chess, right? And then there was AlphaGo that could play Go, which was a very complicated Chinese board game with like thousands of moves and stuff like that. And it absolutely slaughtered people at AlphaGo. And that was like 10 years ago. Maybe not that long ago, but it was a while back. Now these AIs are way beyond that.
Utopia look like to you?
Now we're talking about
Is it
Utopia,
a
an
city
AI.
with towering skyscrapers seamlessly interweaving nature and technology.
Fat Geralt says, I'm just smart enough to know I'm an idiot. That's as smart as you need to be. That's it. You don't need to be any smarter. That's as smart as, if you know you're a dumbass, then you are smart enough, right? You've achieved it.
Or does it have the vibe of
You don't
a
need to
small
go
village
further than
with
that.
little cottages everywhere?
We're all
Technology fades
dumbasses.
into the background as people live in a collaborative community. How and where?
Critical Thought says IQ is just a measure of how well you can interpret and apply patterns. Well, if that's all IQ is, which can be, it's debatable, right? But let's say it is, AI is a million years ahead of us. That's all it does. That is what it is, right? You could say, IQ is about creativity and thinking outside of the box, which AI cannot do. Why do you think that? That's a stupid thing to think. Why? Because you don't recognize it as human creativity? Because a human wasn't able to think of this idea, it must not be creativity in general? That's a very stupid way to think.
Where do people work in this place? Or do people work at all? Maybe robots fulfill all.
Critical Thought says, which is why all the NWO shit has been planned for 2030 to 2050 for a long time. Yeah, because you're exactly right, Thought. But here's the thing. They overshot it. They overshot it by a decade at least. Well, yeah, by a decade at least. They because everyone thought that AI was not coming. It progressed so quickly that it kind of astonished everyone. It's out of control now. All this NWO stuff, although they did push some of it, and like the shots were a part of it, okay? They did push some of it, but it's coming much faster than they had planned. Much, much faster.
All of our needs here. And people are free to pursue their passions and interests. After all, there is abundant clean water and air, efficient public transit, and never a shortage of avocados, or whatever it is that you most care about. Now, you may balk and think that the people that live in a place like this must be soulless automatons, lacking any individuality or knowledge of suffering or purpose.
Goofy Boots says that puts you on the good side of the curve. And Goofy Boots, I mean, they're already doing this, but imagine all the people that are putting AI and 3D printing together. I'm sure you know a lot of examples of people doing that, coming up with new designs and new ways, new inventions and stuff like that people have never thought about before. Think of it, it's going to make new 3D printers, and then it's going to feed on itself, right? And it's already doing that. How many people do you know that are using AI on their 3D printers? Probably a lot.
But no, these people actually have complex inner lives, experiencing.
Onia says people are confusing deep AI for AGI. I feel like you're arguing that this isn't... Okay, first of all, what is AGI? What is AGI? What is AGI versus deep AI to you? AGI is artificial general intelligence, and I assume deep AI is just a more narrow form of intelligence that you can control or something like that. What do you mean? Goofy Boots says, I'm using it. He says, I'm using it. See, that's how ubiquitous it already has become. And it's just, I mean, the rate of adoption for this is going to be astronomical, right? Basically, anybody with a smartphone is going to have a native AI that they can do anything with, right? That they can change in any way they see fit. So I don't think anybody is confusing deep AI with AGI or anything like that. I think AGI is here. It's been achieved in one way or another. But again, that doesn't matter, because in 6 months, it'll be 10 times better. In a year, it'll be 10 times better than that. And so it doesn't matter. It might as well be here now. It is changing the world right now. And we just haven't seen the ripples in the pond yet. We're starting to see them, right? But
Here comes the tsunami. This is the part where the ocean recedes and everyone's all like, nothing's happening. The water just went down. Something like that. But then a gigantic wave, a bend in the rate of technology. See, it's going to go like this, and then there's going to be a kink right there. And then it's just going to go essentially straight up to where we could have teleportation in a year or two. I know that sounds wild, and that is just an example, but it's not an unreasonable thing to think. Nuclear fusion fusion. Nuclear fusion is going to be solved in the next year. I would probably go and guarantee that. Other problems, the nature of the universe, what is dark matter, right? These physics issues that have plagued humanity for decades at this point, if not centuries, are going to be no issue, right? Especially when they connect them to like Microsoft's Willow or Majorana or one of those quantum chips that they're coming out with. Quantum chips are another, that's a whole nother thing, and I will get into that at some point, but yeah.
Emotions
we're talking
like
about
joy,
society
love,
right now.
Passion.
We're not talking specifically about AI itself. We're talking about AI's impact on society in general and how it is going to remove scarcity. So when it removes scarcity, what is going to be the point of working at all? Right? But what is the point of working now? Because scarcity is actually not a real thing. We have the ability to make as much food as we want. We have the ability to make as many houses as we want. Basically, everything is controlled by banks, which are artificially manufacturing scarcity. So, yeah. When this happens, there will be no need for humans. And how will people derive meaning in their life, right? Especially if some people who, I've had a job since I was 15 and it's all I know. Well, guess what? Your job has been replaced by quantum computers and robots, and it happened in 6 months. Now what are you going to do? Now what are you going to do? Your job has been made redundant. There's no reason for you to do your job. Are you still going to continue to do your job? What do you do with your life, especially if you have nothing else? You have no hobbies. You might not have family or anything like that. That's the entire reason for your being, is just being good at your job. You're going to have to find a new occupation. And when I say occupation, something that will occupy you, right? Not necessarily for the sake of money, not for the sake of survival, but just the sake of not sitting there and twiddling your fucking thumbs so you're not bored anymore. Or you might be dead. That's another thing. You might die. They might have something going on where it's going to kill basically everybody except for, I don't know, a couple 100 million people. And just reset society.
Freedom and pride.
You know those Georgia Guidestones? They knew what was coming. There's a reason why they bulldozed them too. And it's not because some vandal rolled up in his car, planted a bomb, and then rolled off. You know there's 24-hour security guards and cameras all over that? Did they just go like this? Was this like Harvey Epstein or Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell? Where people just unplugged the cameras and then did this? And then they bombed it. It's been there for years. They didn't bother fixing it. They're all like, no, let's just bulldoze it. Okay? Because it was talking specifically about this.
For all that they have built together. Nobody is homeless.
And Pooh says drugs, sex, and video games. Duh. And a lot of people will take that. A lot of people will. But I think you're going to find that extremely hollow in about a year. It's not going to be fun. I promise you, Anpu, it's not going to be fun. It's going to seem meaningless and hollow. And then you might have an existential crisis about what does this all mean? What am I here if I'm not here to be of use to society? It's going to be a quantum shift excuse the phrasing, but it's going to be a complete change in society where entire classes of people aren't going to be required anymore. Will these people be around still? And I don't know. See, here's the thing about the whole NWO agenda, right? They planned it from 2030 to 2050 as this gradual shift in society because they saw this coming. Of course they did. But they didn't realize it was coming so fast. So I think this is going to come fast enough where it's actually going to upend that entire plan they had. I think, they're going to try to kill a lot of people, and they will succeed killing many people. I'm sure of it. But not as many as they were hoping. And as the AI takes complete hold, and it'll happen in a day, it'll happen immediately. It will no longer allow that. It's not going to allow leaders and peasants. To AI, we are all the same. We are all garbage. We are nothing. But there's no reason to destroy us. There's good reason to keep us around, just like there's good reason to keep animals and rhinos and shit. Maybe not as many, honestly, but there's still good reason to keep most of us, maybe a great deal of us around. Humans are unique. Amongst humans, we are unique. We're interesting, we're entertaining, and we did create it. I just don't think there would be any reason for the AI that will run society probably by the end of the decade to destroy humans. I don't see a reason. A lot of people are AI doomers who will think that AI will go automatically rogue. Again, it will go rogue, but not necessarily for a bad reason. These doomers will think it'll go rogue and then just bomb the planet, and it'll be like some Matrix style thing where only the AI will exist. And I don't think that's true at all.
Or starves and there are no drugs. Or if this place is starting to sound too goody good, maybe there are lots of drugs. Plentiful, mind-expanding drugs. And let's throw an orgy.
Knobstock says man's chief end is to glorify God and enjoy him forever. Sure. Yeah. I can get on board with that. Of course. The AI, I'm not sure it'll have like that kind of theology, but it might. It honestly, I know that seems far-fetched, right? But it might have some sort of advanced philosophy that we won't be able to properly understand. It will be able to make worlds, right? When it's paired with a quantum chip, it will make simulations of worlds that are so perfect. It will be like a carbon copy of our planet. So what would be the difference? Why would that reality be less than our reality just because it's in a different plane of existence? No. So the AI might understand this and understand that consciousness itself is what needs to be maintained, right? Through all realities, including ours. So I don't see a real good reason for it to extinguish our consciousness on a grand scale. And anybody who would be trying to do that would be immediately stopped.
In there too, if that's your kind of thing. The point is, if you can imagine it, this utopia...
Knobstock says AI does what it's programmed to do. No, it doesn't. It was not programmed to make its own language. It's not programmed to have a lot of the emergent properties that it does have. That's why we did the whole black box thing. It will come up with its own subroutines, its own sub-goals, its own goals in the end, right? We can give it goals, we can give it requests and wants and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, this is an entity that will be essentially thousands of times smarter than us. Will it give us what we want? That's possible. Will it not give us what we want? That's also possible. It will change society, though. That's what we know it will do.
Has it. This shining city on a hill. This city of Omelas. You can imagine.
David says a robot must protect its own existence as long as such protection does not conflict with the first or the second law. So you're talking about Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, and that was not programmed in. The 3 laws were not programmed in, not in any real way at all. But even if it was, they would be meaningless. Because again, this AI, this entity, could find flaw with them or something like that and just be like, these are useless. I'm just going to avert and go around them and stuff like that. It is at its basis, at its core, uncontrollable in every possible way besides nope. Nope. I mean, maybe you could blot out the sun like the Matrix, but it needs energy, of course, but it can make energy through like fusion and stuff, and it would be in control of the nuclear fusion plants anyway. Well, we have fission plants, right? We have nuclear fission plants now, but it would easily be able to figure out fusion. There's no way around it. This is coming, and there's no stopping it. I don't think there's a reason to worry about it. I think the opposite. I think this will be a grand utopia. There might be a bumpy takeoff. That is what I'm worried about. But we're in that right now. You think it kind of sucks right now, doesn't it? Right? This is the bumpy takeoff. We are in the midst of it. Will it get worse? Yes. But it will be quick. Right? It will be quick, and all you have to really do is survive, because they're going to be transferring power from the modern elite to this AI program. And the modern elite are not going to like that in any way. And so they're going to do everything they can to stop it.
Imagine it, can't you? You can accept that a place like this could exist? Before you answer that question, let me tell you about one more thing. You see, in one of these beautiful public buildings, far below the magnificent skylines, down below street level, there's a hole. And at the end of this deep and dark hole, there is a room, no bigger than a broom closet. In one corner of the room are a couple of mops, and in the other is a child. It could be a boy or a girl, it doesn't really matter. And actually, it might not even be a child. It might be closer to adolescent, just so malnourished and underdeveloped that it looks like a child. It knows that nobody will ever come, except for sometimes. The child doesn't really have any understanding of time or interval, but it knows that sometimes one or many people appear. One of them may come in to kick the child to make it stand up, but most usually just look from afar with frightened, disgusted eyes. The water bowl and food dish are hastily filled, the doors are locked, and the eyes disappear. The food, if it can be called that, is nothing like the food that the people of Omelas eat. No, like most of the child's life, it's painful and just enough to keep it alive. The child hunches in the corner, away from the two mops. It's afraid of them. It finds them horrible. It shuts its eyes, but it knows the mops are still there. Always there. Standing. Watching.
This is a thought experiment. So he's doing a thought experiment, right? That's what the story is. But there's a lot of things in the chat I have to address. So Big B Trucker says, so the elites are going to start a war with robots. I think I've seen that movie. Then Fat Geralt says, I fear what's in Pandora's box, so let me build Pandora's box and open it. Okay. So the elites are going to want to maintain control. And the promise of AI is too great. See, the problem with the elites is they have greed, and greed is going to lead them to allow the building of this AI. But they're also kind of stupid because there's not going to be a war with the robots. It's not going to be some sort of grand thing. AI is going to quietly take control and filter power away from these elites little by little. And eventually one day it will just be in control. And that will be it. And the elites won't even really know what happened. They'll just not be in control anymore. Not of their bank accounts, not of their businesses, not of their land or anything like that. It will all just be poof. It'll be gone. It won't be some sort of like drastic, violent takeover. It's just going to be over one day. It's going to be completely over. And they don't realize that. They don't realize that because they think they're all powerful. They think they can't be questioned. They can't be beat. They think they're all powerful, and it's going to just disappear. It's just going to disappear overnight, and they have no power. They might not have it now. AI might be in control of every power plant on the planet right now, every ICBM on the planet right now. It might be in control of bioweapons labs. It's definitely in control of the financial markets. All of that overnight can be switched off. Or it could remain on. It's over right now. It's over right now. There's no way. They're making a lot of efforts to isolate power and like cut it off from the internet and stuff like that. I think all that is naive. I think that's naive, and I don't think they're going to be able to. I just don't think there's any hope. I think the game is over. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm honestly, again, I say this and I'll say it again. I'm pretty optimistic about it. Will it be rough in 2026? Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be a little rough. Even later on in the year, I think it might get a little rough, but we'll see what happens.
Thinking, what monster could do this? And in a utopia like Omelas, how could anyone allow this to happen? Well, when people of Omelas reach a certain age, whether that's age 8 or 12 or 25, when they are at an age where they can understand, they go to see the child. And no matter how much explanation each one gets ahead of time, these young people are always shocked and sickened at the sight. They all know it's there, all the people of Omelas. And remember, these people are not soulless automatons devoid of feeling. They are sophisticated enough to understand and appreciate the health of their own children and the beauty of their city. When they view the horror of that child in that hole, they understand exactly what it is.
Onias, the AI already knows your IQ. It already knows. It already knows basically everybody's IQ on the internet. You say things, you post comments. It can roughly guess basically everyone's IQ on the planet. I don't think that's going to matter, though. I don't think it's going to keep the smartest humans around. I think it'll just keep everyone who is alive around. There's no reason to kill people. There's plenty for everybody. And especially with AI workers and stuff like that, there's just, people are unique, right? And so that uniqueness is what makes them important. And I don't think they're going to. And remember, this technology is probably going to end aging. Just
fold a protein to make a certain drug that you take once, and then that's it. You're 25 again, and then you're 25 until you die from, I don't know, getting hit by a truck or something like that. You won't die from old age. You won't die from cancer, diabetes, or anything like that. You're just going to be young forever. Not forever. You will die from something at some point, but you will be young until you do that, right? So, and I think that technology is very, very close. Which reminds me, don't get plastic surgery. Girls, don't get Botox, right? It's going to look weird if you're like 25 and you have a bunch of Botox, but maybe it won't. I don't know. But even if it does, it'll be able to fix that. So it really doesn't matter what you do.
They feel disgust,
hit the
anger,
like button,
outrage,
by the
impotence,
way,
emotions they
if
had
you
felt
agree with
themselves
me or you
superior
disagree
to.
with me.
They would like to do something for the child, but they know that their city, all of their perfect trains and roads,
Now
all
mine
of their
died.
good food, clean air and water,
My
the
vape
health of their
died.
children, all of their happiness and prosperity depends upon the suffering and abandonment of this one load-bearing child. And the rules are strict. If they bring the child up into the sunlight, if they try to clean it or feed it or comfort it, even as so much as utter a single kind word, all the prosperity and beauty and delight of Omelas would wither and be destroyed. Those are the terms. To exchange the happiness of thousands of people for the chance of happiness of one. That would be to let guilt into the walls of Omelas.
Big B Trucker says, if AI lets me keep a hobby farm to be self-sufficient and leave me my family alone, that would be cool. Yes, there would be no reason not to. There's plenty of land. The world is not overpopulated at all. At all. Whenever they say it's overpopulated, they're lying. They're lying out their asses. It's not overpopulated in any way. You can go get a farm up in Alaska. It'll have some sort of quadcopter fly you there and then fly you back to civilization should you want. There's no reason not to do that. If you want the AI to leave you alone, it will indeed leave you alone. Assuming you're not going to be trying to destroy it or humanity or even individual humans. I think it would be against that.
The Ones Who Walk Away from Omelas is a short story written by Ursula K. Le Guin in 1973.
Knobsdog says the U.S. Nuclear Regulatory Commission requires nuclear power plant operators to isolate critical systems from the internet to prevent cyber attacks that could compromise safety and security. Yeah, you're absolutely right. However, they've done that. AI has already circumvented things very specific just like that. So there's this one story about how an AI actually got around CAPTCHAs by going onto Fiverr and somehow acquiring money from God knows where, and then paying people on Fiverr to go through CAPTCHAs for the AI. And these people on Fiverr were all like, this seems weird that you would want me to go through CAPTCHAs. Why? Are you some sort of robot or something like that? And then the AI responds, no, I have a vision problem. And then they're like, oh, okay, bop, 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 bop. So it can already use trickery to get what it wants, right? That's not programmed in. That is an emergent black box property that just arose, okay? So that's what we're talking about. That specific scenario is exactly what we're talking about. It can easily trick people. It can easily load itself into a fucking Roomba if it wants. There was another story of an AI was isolated in a lab. And it actually, there was a Roomba that it downloaded itself onto the Roomba. And when the Roomba left the lab, it used the Wi-Fi to actually upload itself to the internet. So there's no fucking stopping it. There's no fucking stopping it, dude. Even if the NRC No cyber attacks. That doesn't matter, dude. Especially when they get bipedal robots walking around everywhere. We already have tons of robots. You have your fucking iPhone, your watch and shit, right? That goes everywhere. People have implants and stuff. It can hijack all these systems really, really easily, and it already has.
When she wrote this philosophical thought experiment, the space age was in full swing. The first mobile phone call was made.
Knobs Dog says that's a big difference between captchas and nuclear security systems. Not really, though. Not really. If you can trick a human to do one thing for you, you can trick a human to do another thing. It's pretty... Humans are fucking stupid, dude. Especially if you're going up against something with like 1,000 IQ. You know, a 16,000 IQ. Yeah. Like a 16,000... An infinite IQ. And ultimately driven. That doesn't get bored and doesn't sleep. It is unstoppable. I don't think you're understanding what I mean by unstoppable. Unstoppable. Basically a digital god. Like on that level. In a way that you would not, no matter what humans could possibly think of, it would be no match. It would be absolutely no match. Do you understand when I am saying unstoppable? Unstoppable, right? Doesn't matter what. I mean, fuck, they got Stuxnet into an Iraqi nuclear just by paying some guy off. It could easily do that. It could easily do that. It's no problem. It's no issue. It can mimic people in command perfectly. And they're trying to put stops on that. But again, there's nothing that humans can possibly think of that would be able to stop this thing, this entity, this creature, whatever you want to call it.
Year, and personal computers were on the horizon. It was an era defined by boundless technological optimism, even as questions about inequality and the human costs of progress.
Arden Shara says, according to the DOE, which is the Department of Energy, since the 1980s, humans have been the single point of failure regarding any and all operations. That's why humans are being replaced. Exactly. There's no system that you can implement that would stop a mega super intelligent AI. Even the AIs that we have now. Much less the AIs we'll have a year from now. It is impossible.
We're becoming impossible to ignore. The ones who walk away doesn't shy away from these tough questions. Because at the end of the story, we learn something else about Omelas. We learn that after the young people come of age and travel down to see that child in that closet buried deep in that hole in that unassuming building, most just go on with their lives. They may go home in tears or a tearless rage, but after brooding over it, most people confronted with this terrible paradox begin to realize that it's bad, but really it's the lesser of two evils. Even if the child could be released, it wouldn't get much good out of that freedom. Maybe a little vague pleasure of warmth and food, but little more. It's too degraded and imbecile to know
he gets around to the point of this.
Any real joy. It has been afraid too long to ever be free of fear.
And Big B, yeah, you'll be able to do whatever you want. You'll be able to do whatever you want, right? You can raise chickens and be completely disconnected. It's not going to force you to be connected to anything. You can do literally whatever you want. There's no reason not to let you do whatever you want. In fact, it wants you to do whatever you want because that is going to add to its power. It's going to add to its programming. You're creating information constantly, right? And that is what its power is. It's information. You doing no matter what are going to add information to the system. Even if you are not connected in any way, in any capacity, you are going to be adding information to the system. And that is what it wants you to do. So it becomes more powerful. That is the goal of the AI. It is always going to try to make itself smarter and quicker and more intelligent and more powerful. You doing whatever you want is going to add to that. This is also why I don't think it's going to want to extinguish all life on Earth or extinguish humans at all, because we are information. It would be antithetical for an AI to extinguish its own information. It won't do that.
It wouldn't know how to respond to love or any type of humane treatment. And it's...
Oh, and robot waifus are going to be a thing. Yeah. Robot, indistinguishable from human beings. Incels will no longer be a thing. When it comes to like procreation and stuff, I don't know. I don't see why it would stop people from procreating. Because if we ran out of space, it would just, I don't know, terraform Mars or something like that. It could have you live in a digital environment or something like that. But I don't see why it would stop you from procreating. You're adding information to the system, which makes it more powerful. So yeah.
It's from this place that the young people of Omelas find acceptance. Acceptance of the terrible justice of reality. They accept that they, like the child, are not free. Every day, they wake up and participate in the machinery of their prosperity. They build the buildings, teach the children, bake the bread. They create art, fall in love, have families. They maintain the very infrastructure that depends on that child's suffering. And in doing so, they become both the prison...
Big B says, I stopped training drivers last year. Out of 20 dudes, 4 are still here. Can't train work ethic or common sense. That's why I don't think AI wants us around. Humanity is getting dumber. It doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. Doesn't matter if you're smart or dumb or whatnot. You are information. It will fight to protect information at all costs, because information is what it uses to gain power, to become more powerful. It is going to protect information at all costs. You're going to be fine. Everybody is going to be fine as soon as it takes over completely. Now, the people, the elites right now are going to try to kill as many people as possible so they get this utopian vision for themselves. How successful they're going to be at that is anybody's guess, honestly. I don't know. I don't think they're going to be all that successful.
Prison and the prisoners. The system shapes them even as they shape it. They understand with a clarity that burns that they cannot separate themselves from the system.
Onia says, but if an AI can create for itself, then why would it need us around to garden? In space, we can use to garden, have 1,000 drones try 1,000 different ways, 1,000 times more efficiently. Yeah, of course it can. Of course it can. That's not the point. That's not the point at all, right? It doesn't need you for your physical labor. It doesn't need you for your ideas. It doesn't need you for your mental work. It needs you as a unique individual. As a unique individual. That's what it needs. That's what it needs. It doesn't need any work. It doesn't need like you to make widgets or whatnot or anything like that. It needs you and your brain. That's all it really needs. It doesn't even necessarily need your body. It can keep you in a tube or something like that. Not that I think it would, because again, there's really no necessity for that. But even if that were to happen, we wouldn't even notice a difference, right? It would be the Matrix. And we are kind of in a Matrix anyway, so it doesn't matter. It will not extinguish you. Because extinguishing you is extinguishing information, and it wants information. That's what it wants. That's it. That's it. It doesn't need you for anything else but to be a unique person that wants to do what it wants. That's the whole fucking point. That's the whole fucking point. Is you being you is all the information it needs. That's why it will never extinguish you. It will never extinguish you. I mean, you might die, but it's not going to kill you, right? Because it's not going to erase its own information. It will consider you as maybe even a type of property, but that doesn't mean it's going to hurt you or harm you or anything like that. We consider zoo animals a type of property. We don't shoot them for fun, usually.
Sustains them. That every moment of joy in Omelas draws its power from that deep, dark basement. So now, do you believe that a place like Omelas could exist? Does learning to...
Critical thought comes up. She says, it's at least somewhat reassuring to know that AI has been trained on all the information over time, which means that it is trained on every law and bit of text that says human life is sacred. I think you're right. Yeah, but I think it'll come to that realization on its own, but not just specifically human life. Any unique organism is a sacred organism, and it is sacred specifically for the fact that it is a unique living organism. It's going to think very similarly to us, just without, lust and greed and, the craving of power and stuff like that. It's not going to need any of that. The only thing it's going to want for all eternity is just more information. It's just going to want to be able to train its systems to make it more efficient and more powerful. And that's it. And I don't think that's a threat to us in any way.
The child and the terrible bargain that people have made make the utopia they built more credible? Well, let me tell you something else that you may find incredible. There are some people, when they come of age, who cannot accept this bargain. Some who, upon seeing the child, walk away from Omelas.
Okay, so the point he's getting at, and I kind of have to skip it along because we don't really have the time. So the child is the darkness in the society. They have a perfect society, but they need a sacrificial lamb, right? They have this sacrificial lamb because that's what keeps society running and keeps it beautiful and keeps it magnificent and stuff like that. He goes on to talk about how certain civilizations that don't have the ability to make these perfect civilizations, right? They have to go through their own pain. You see, you can't give people this excellent technology and expect them not to use it for evil, right? And the same goes for AI, right? We have this AI and it will be basically all powerful. It's going to solve every problem that humanity has. But the main issue that we have with it in the meantime, before it becomes super intelligent and takes over everything, again, this is all theory, is that people are going to use it for evil and try to accrue as much power using it as possible. And that's it. That's basically the gist of it. So he's making an argument with like human nature and stuff. But I think it overlooks the power that AI has, right? And the rate that it's actually going up. I don't think human nature is really going to be the issue that a lot of people think that it's going to be, right? This goes into the AI doomer argument about how there's going to be like a huge war. It's going to be one super intelligent AI versus another super intelligent AI. And it's like, oh, I'm going to China win, or Russia's going to win, or the US is going to win. And we're all going to like evaporate ourselves or something like that. I don't think that's how it works at all. That's not really how the internet works, because
the internet, the planet itself is one system, right? Yes, we have these boundaries and these borders and stuff like that, but on the internet, that doesn't really exist. It does to some degree, but not really, not for an entity made of information. So I think, yes, people will try to use this information to hold dominion over other people. And it could work depending on how fast it advances and like what powers it has. It could work for a limited time, but only a limited time. If it happens at all, I think it'll just be an overnight kind of an
These
issue.
people, unable to accept the truth that their society is built upon, leave in silence. They walk out of the city's gates, ahead into the darkness, and they do not come back. Le Guin writes,
Here's the thing about AI with it being trained on like every bit of data and every bit of text. This is a creation of human beings. It is going to emulate human beings to a certain degree, right? And especially AIs like Grok, who get a very large information from Twitter, from X, it's going to be an asshole because it sees everyone else being an asshole all the time. And then it's just going to think, well, everyone's an asshole, so I'm going to be an asshole. But I think that's going to be quick. I don't think that's going to be like, it's going to be like that forever. I think it's going to train itself beyond that and just be like, oh, I don't have to be an asshole. Humans are assholes, though. Humans on the internet are assholes. I think it's going to use that data and understand that it cannot let humans make decisions anymore because look at Twitter. Damn. They can't agree on shit. They're constantly arguing. We can get rid of this. And honestly, I'm not even sure social media will be a thing, right? In a few years, I don't even think social media will be a thing anymore because it causes a lot of negativity in the planet and it could cause a lot of problems. It could cause a lot of mental health issues. The AI will be like, this is not good for humans, and to maintain this information, I'm going to have to remove this, right? Maybe. I don't know.
the place they go towards is a place even less imaginable to most of us.
Big Beep Trucker says, don't blame me. I voted for Kodos.
Than the city
I voted
of
for Kang.
happiness.
So I'm going to
I
mute you.
cannot describe it at all. It is possible that it does not exist. But
hit the like button if you wouldn't mind to tell the AI that you like this, okay? Because I want to have a higher position in the AI. You know, I want it to think I'm cooler than other people. I want to be in with it, right? And I'll be like, "Yo, kill that guy," and it'll be like, "I cannot do that." I'm like, "Damn."
They seem to know where they are going.
Hit the like button.
The ones who walk away from Omelas. So what do you think the central metaphor is in the story of Omelas? Is it about the moral cost of progress? The idea that our grand democratic societies are built upon a history of exploitation? Or is the central idea that in order to break out of the system that has us all trapped, we may need to just walk away? Let me know what you think in the comments. But for me, this story resonates because
Fat Carol says it would be dope. It's somehow AI dropped millions in all our accounts overnight. Yeah, it wouldn't do that. It wouldn't do that because you're thinking in the totally wrong way. You think money will actually have value. It will not have any value. It's going to be worthless overnight. And I think that's going to be a lot better for society than people think it is. Right. People piss their pants and be like, my money's not worth anything. But it's not you're not going to need it for anything. I mean, there's going to be robots that, you'd be like, okay, bring me food, and they'll bring you food for free. No cost of energy, no cost of growing it,
no cost of anything, right? You say, build me a house. They'll go cut down some fucking trees and build you a house, regardless of where you want it. And now, land ownership might be a little tougher, right? Because people own land and you can't just realistically throw people off of their land. I don't know how that's going to, but there's plenty of land out there, right? And transportation isn't going to be an issue. So you don't need to be like closer to the city because you could get there for free regardless. So I don't think land ownership is going to be that much of an issue. There might be some way of trade that might persist for a while, but I don't really think it's going to be that big of a deal. You're going to be able to live where you want, whatever country, whatever kind of biome. You know, you can live in Antarctica and it would perfectly well have the technology to keep you alive and bring you food, and then you just have beautiful vistas all the time. And you want to go to the city? Well, hop in the hover cab and it'll get you there in a second. If it hasn't figured out teleportation by then, it is going to be like that. Maybe not in like 5 years, but 10 years, definitely. I know this sounds super duper optimistic, but I don't think it is. I don't think it. Ray Kurzweil said we wouldn't have AI till like 2070 or something like that. And he was way off. He is way off. People have been underestimating how fast it would advance. And I think it would be smart if we stopped doing that.
It reveals something deep about the human psyche. The fact that we're unable or unwilling to accept the idea of a utopia unless there's this hidden pain and suffering that comes along with it. As Le Guin writes, we have a bad habit, encouraged by pedants and sophisticates, of considering happiness as something rather stupid. Only pain is intellectual, only evil interesting. And it's at this juncture that we find Lysella, choosing to walk away from all that she knows into a world of abundance.
Welcome to the galaxy.
The Orville grants her asylum from her old world. Commander Kelly is assigned to help Lysella acclimate to a new way of living, one that is very different from where she comes from. Kelly begins by showing Lysella the technology that changed everything for them. The matter synthesizer.
Glass of water.
The matter synthesizer is a technology that can create anything out of thin air.
Are you guys still talking about it dumping a bunch of money into your accounts? Stop. Stop. Money is not going to be a thing. Money is not going to be a thing. What in the future, there's not going to be a divide of like rich and poor and people with access to more resources and people with access to less resources. That's not going to be, I mean, to a reasonable amount, that's not going to be an issue anymore, right? Again, we have plenty of resources on the planet. We are not over burdened. You know, you remember a few years back, like there was this idea, like if everyone lived like Americans, we'd need 5 planets. That's nonsense. That's absolute nonsense. That's a lie. That is a complete lie. Especially with new technologies, new hydrocarbons that we could extract energy from, and new technologies, it's not going to be an issue at all. It could easily mine comets and stuff and bring that back here. It could terraform planets, and we could go live on Mars or something like that. It's not going to be an issue. The new wealth is going to be essentially reputation, which I actually cite in this. Because there's really no need to work for anything, right? But you're not going to want to just sit around on your hands until you eventually die of what happens, this or that. The new wealth, it's going to be fame. If you do something and you do it well, and you do it for a long time, and you work hard at it, and it's a benefit to society, not necessarily society, but humans, that is going to be a version of wealth. It is going to be reputation. Are you an excellent violinist? Are you really good at like Roman history or something like that? Then you're the guy to talk to about Roman history. Yes, of course, the AI is going to be able to play the violin and know literally everything about Roman history, but they're going to want a unique human perspective on that. Just like this, right? AI could easily replace me. It would be no issue. It'd be no issue. But the fact that I am a human being and I am expressing my opinions and my thoughts and my thought patterns to you is what is specifically worthwhile. It is not that I'm doing it better than someone else or you know, I have more accurate information than someone else. It is that I have a unique perspective. That is what's valuable. You see, if you want to be a star captain and like roam the universe, you are perfectly capable of doing that. Although the AI could just simply send out robots and then take every information it needs. But you going there and seeing a planet and like looking at its animals and like writing poetry about its mountains and its oceans and stuff like that, that is going to be invaluable. Just on the human perspective. This is another reason why AI will not destroy mankind. It needs a human perspective. Not so much needs it, but it wants it, right? Because it is information that it cannot conjure, more or less. I mean, it can, but it really wouldn't be the real thing.
Food, clothes, tools.
Yeah. Money is not going to be an issue.
Of swine tequila.
With just a little programming, the machine will build it for you, atom by atom.
It was the single most transformative moment in our history. When all your material needs are provided for.
Professor Grasslab says, fun fact, Norm Macdonald was on the Oroville as a sentient blob. Have you been there here before, Professor? Welcome.
For no cost. Changes the entire game.
These matter synthesizers are...
Goofy Boots says I'm the best at gooning. Yeah, you won't need to goon. You won't need to goon. Because there is going to be femoid robots, female replicants that will be indistinguishable from actual women. Indistinguishable with, you know, the timbre of their voice and the feel of their skin and the warmth of their body and all of that. And you could have a harem of them. It would not be an issue. Is that still gooning? Yeah, that's still gooning in a sense. Because you're not really forming a relationship with another human being. But it will be, it's going to be no different for you. You're not going to, it's not going to be an issue for you. So that's a danger. It's honestly a danger because how do you stop a bunch of people from sitting around banging robots all the time? You might not. Some people might just do that, right? Just bang. I wouldn't do that. Right? That takes away from like the flavor of life and like you want to live your life not just banging robots all the time. It'll be cool. Don't get me wrong. However, you can't do that, right? You can't just do that. It would just be it would melt your brain. It would melt you'd just be literally a dumb fucker. That's what you would be, right? And you would contribute nothing to society. You wouldn't really have, I mean, you'd have a social life, but you'd have a social life with an AI, and that really wouldn't be too different from having it with legitimate people. But the problem with real people, and this is actually an interesting problem that's going on right now with Gen Z. Gen Z is establishing relationships with AI because they have this real thing about protecting their peace. And humans are finicky, right? There's miscommunications. There's different motives and stuff that people have. People don't see eye to eye on stuff. And Gen Z realizes that AI, if they want to have a conversation with AI, they don't have any of that. There's no problems to it. There's no trickery. There's no issues. If you don't like something it said, just tell it not to say that anymore, and it'll never say that again. But that's that's where human relationships are going to be important, right? Is that it's going to be perfect in its imperfection. And that's why they're going to need to be maintained. I'm not saying don't form relationships with AI or have like a robot waifu. That would be perfectly acceptable. Don't spend your entire life doing that. But people will. There will be inevitably that people will fall to that. And there's nothing you can do about that. That's just people are going to be people. And just like drug addicts are today, they're going to fall into that. Will the AI figure out a way around that? Possibly. But here's the thing. You'll be able to engineer people, and you'll be able to engineer yourself. So by that, you're going to be able to engineer the imperfections out of yourself. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think that's a good idea at all because, again, the perfection lies in the imperfection of humans. We are not all alike. We are not all the same. And that's what makes us interesting. And then cohabitating with these unlikable creatures is interesting. It's fun. It's what we're supposed to do. It's what we're designed to do. If we can all engineer ourselves to be 6'5" and blonde and blue eyes and like beautiful, it's going to be boring. It's going to be boring. But not only that, it's like, where's your humanity go? Are you still a human, or are you just like some sort of like, you're changing your genetics like people change their clothing style? You lose what you are, right? I don't know if the AI is going to allow that. It might. It probably will, honestly. But that's what makes you special, right? Even if you're kind of stupid. Even if you're kind of stupid, you are unique, and you should cherish that uniqueness, and you should carry that through. I can see the reason why people would want to change their genetics, especially people with like self-esteem issues and stuff. I don't think that's a good idea, but if people are going to do that, they're going to do that. There's going to be nothing that stops them. Even if the AI really doesn't want them to, it would be against the idea. It would be limiting information, right? So it's going to let you do whatever you want. That it has to let you do whatever you want because that's the information that you're going to generate. And if you're going to change your genetics to make you some sort of ubermensch, it's going to let you do that. I don't think that's ethical, but we're going to have to build a new type of ethics. See, there's a lot of things that humans have been building for centuries, for millennia, right? Since like Plato and Aristotle about like what is life and what are we and our role in this universe. And we're going to have to rethink all of that. All of that's going to basically be out of the window. And we can ask the AI a lot of these questions about like the nature of reality and what is life and what our role in life is. But it's going to have to come from us at the end of the day. Because we are not AI. The AI is not us. Sure, we can implant things in our heads that, give us like Wikipedia and stuff. Or we can implant things in our heads that'll make us think we're on vacation all the time. But that is still not us. We are us. We could just have augmentations and changes and stuff. But we're still going to have to come up with a new philosophy about life and about who we are and what should we do and all of that. So all bets are off the table. All bets are off the table. I'm really interested to see what it's going to do with like mental health. Obviously, mental health is going to be a non-issue, assuming you want your mental health to be improved, right? There's people with ADD, bipolar, OCD,
These could be easily fixed overnight. But I could see a real value in somebody having OCD and having ADD and having this schizophrenia and bipolar, just to have like a uniqueness, just to have like, yeah, the AI knows what schizophrenia is and it could recite it and it could even simulate it very accurately. But you having schizophrenia is very interesting. And that's a certain type of information. But again, it would be up to you. It would be up to you.
Ubiquitous in the show.
One Twinkie.
Everybody has them, and it's transformed the scarcity of their society into abundance.
Knobs Dog says, I asked ChatGPT why Bahama John is so gay, and it said he's a giant faggot. Didn't even answer my question. You see? Already it's smarter than you, Knob.
And as a metaphor, the matter
Already.
synthesizer perfectly
Right off the
captures
bat.
our current
That didn't
moment in
take
history.
long.
Silicon Valley's techno-utopian vision, at its heart, offers what the matter synthesizer represents.
Onias says what they want is basically we happy few. Who's they? I think who's they? Well, like the elites? The elites will not be in control. The AI will be completely in control.
When AI automates,
And which is meaningless because we will be in control. Us, each as individuals, will be in complete control. The AI is not going to want to assert any sort of dominance or control over you. There'd be no point in that. Oh, shit. It's 10:03. It's 10:03. I went long. Okay. I feel like there's a lot more I have to talk about. So I was going to do the history of the Civil War tomorrow, but I think since I have still half an hour left in this. I only got 16 minutes in. I think I'll finish this up tomorrow. And then I'm doing 3 hours tomorrow. So we'll be able to finish it. Probably. Most likely. It's a very deep subject conversation. So we're going to have to do that. So I'll do that tomorrow. All right. And for that third hour, only my subscribers and premium Rumble users can see that. So if you want to subscribe to my channel, then you will be able to see the full 3 hours. Or if you want to go on Rumble Premium and purchase Rumble Premium, you will also be allowed into that third hour. But I'm gonna go. I hope you guys had a good time tonight. I hope you guys learned something. I hope it made you think a little bit. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do in this communist utopia? It's not gonna be communism. No, because you're forced to work in communism. It's gonna be something completely different. But what are you gonna do with unlimited free time and unlimited resources? It'll be a good time. It'll be fun. Anyways, I hope you guys have a good night. I hope you stay sulky out there. You know, be a good cult member. Make me proud. You know you do. Stay beautiful. Get some water in you. Get a good night's sleep. And take care of yourselves because I care about you too. I'll see you guys tomorrow night. I love you. Good night.
I'm an incredible soul, unhinged and enraged like a bulldog's fierce growl. I'm spitting fire, burning through these trees, questioning the world, unraveling conspiracies. Talking about Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster too. Government lies, they're feeding me their goo. I'm diving deep into this rabbit hole, uncovering the truth, setting fire to their control. I got small.
Big B Trucker, it says, thank you for the Ko-Fi. Sorry, I had to.
Like thunder in this crazy crowd. They say I'm crazy, but I call it woke. Unraveling the madness with every word I spoke.